Very pleased to be here and introduce really a brand new company called XXIX. We just completed a merger, and we're now one of the largest copper owners of copper in Eastern Canada, and I think our mission is to become the most important copper company in Eastern Canada. While Tony's working hard to shore up Western Canada, we're working our way in Quebec and Ontario. Before I dive deep into what XXIX is, which by the way stands for 29 in Roman numerals, which is the atomic number for copper, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are as a group. I'm chairman of Tony's company, American Eagle Gold, and I'm the chairman of the OR Group, which represents 7 publicly traded companies, all on the Venture Exchange. And the reason I wanted to introduce this, I want to get more bang for my buck and promote all of our companies. But really, in a market like this, where, frankly, it's not a market. It's too bizarre. No metrics matter. It's really, really hard to pick a horse that doesn't have an eye-popping drill hole. You can have good drill holes, but it just doesn't matter. But I'll tell you what does matter most in times like this. It's people, it's properties, and it's capital, and that's something that OR Group stands on. Those are the fundamentals. We do not get involved in any project unless we believe it has the ability to be a mine. We are owners and long-term thinkers, and eventually, if it's not going to be a mine, we're there sitting holding the bag, and we don't want to waste our time because we're serious people, we're good people, and I enjoy working with people like Tony, people like Charles Beaudry, and other people who we built these businesses for successfully. So look, you have to have good projects, which American Eagle's one, which XXIX has the Opimiska and the Cherry, great projects. Good people know how to identify good projects, and they drop the bad ones real quickly, or they don't buy them in the first place. And then last, you need the ability to finance yourselves. Obviously, American Eagle did a great financing, a number of great financings, but so have we in the OR Group. We've raised well over $200 million in the last few years through equity financings where most have struggled. We have excelled, and we've done probably equal that amount in terms of joint ventures and done a lot of financings, not just with the equities, not just with the investment bankers, but we've demonstrated the ability to attract capital from serious partners, from Newmont to Agnico, to, of course, South 32 and Teck, and many, many others. So we finance good projects when others can't. And part of the essence of the OR Group, and certainly XXIX, has been to acquire projects in times like this. This is the best time to be a buyer, not just the stocks, but also the assets. We tend to focus on the assets, and everything has been on sale, and we've been buying wonderful assets, just like we did in XXX the end of last year. As I said, it's a brand new company, but I'd like to use this as an example here. This is what you're looking at here is the stock chart of a wonderful company called Foran Mining. They've been a huge darling. Not everybody's heard of them, but they've been a massive success. They've gone from somewhere where nobody cares. You can see back there in 2019, nobody cared. They were a 20-some-odd million dollar market cap company. I think their share price was 15 cents. They had a wonderful resource. You can see that almost 23 million tons, excellent grades, excellent jurisdictions, but nobody cared. Nobody cared at all. And then all of a sudden, they had a spark. They got a little bit of luck. They had a guy by the name of Prem Watsa come in, write a $100 million check, and it gave them that spark that they went from nothing, virtually nothing, to something. Today, they're a $2 billion company and looking to go into production. So the reason why I put that there is that's why we're in this business. That's the type of wealth generation that you can achieve in this business if you focus on the right people who acquire the right projects and know how to finance them. And I think the OR Group speaks for itself in its ability to do all three of those things. And why I think Foran is relevant, I just didn't pull this out of a hat, is because XXIX, I keep on calling it QC Copper, but XXIX has 2 top-tier assets in Eastern Canada. I think, as I said, we're one of the largest owners of copper in Eastern Canada. We've got the Opimiska, which, as Robert said, is Canada's highest-grade open-pit copper deposit. It's on the rail, it's on the road, it's got access to grid hydropower. And we just acquired the Cherry, which is Ontario's largest copper asset. Copper resource, I should say, and it, like our asset in Quebec, is on the road, on the rail, has access to power, and both are brownfields environments with with a huge amount of data that we've been leveraging and understanding and, of course, expanding upon. But look, I think the opportunity here is to recreate the success in some capacity that Foran has. Again, we've got two excellent starting points with big, fat resources in Quebec and Ontario. I think we've got bright days ahead of us. We're going to have to raise some capital. We're going to have to hit some milestones, including which are our goal for both assets are the pre-feasibility studies, because that is where the rubber meets the road and to where a company can say this is a real project and it's going to be a mine, so that internally, that is our objective, get to pre-feasibility. And if I just juxtapose us, again, we've got the Opimiska, which is our asset in Quebec. It's the highest grade open pit copper deposit in Canada. And then we've got our Cherry, which is in Ontario, in Pickle Lake. It's the largest copper resource in Ontario. They stand up in terms of what Foran Mining has. And again, Foran is much more advanced stage. That's a big qualifier. They're at the feasibility stage. They've done a lot more work on it, but they're worth $2 billion. We're at a $30 million market cap with about $6 or $7 million in cash. If you strip out the enterprise value, considering those two assets that we have, which are about almost 5 billion pounds of copper, in situ on wonderful infrastructure and frankly, two of the best jurisdictions around, there's an opportunity there. So again, our path to feasibility is our internal goal. That's how we think we can mimic and copy the success that Foran has is get to that. Take a look at Opimiska here. You can see here, as I said, we've said it about 3 or 4 times now. It's worth repeating that it's the highest grade open pit copper deposit in Canada. It's got about 100 million tons at 1% copper equivalent. That's from our resource that was published about a year ago. We published it and nobody cared. That's just the market we're in. As I said, nobody cared, just like nobody cared about Foran, but eventually they will, and they'll realize that we have a full percent at 100 million tons in the heart of Quebec on this infrastructure. And copper equivalent, you'll notice this is a high-grade copper deposit. It's 0.8, which is heads and shoulders above the projects that you can see our peers, like, I wouldn't say our peers, but comparables to Newmont Tech and other mining companies there. We stand up to them. And of course, our Cherry, it's not as high grade as Opimiska, nothing else is, but it's a nice big copper deposit that we think is going to get much bigger. Just quickly here, as I'm running quickly on time, I'll show the Opimiska here. I put this here because it demonstrates the infrastructure we have. Infrastructure is absolutely critical when it comes to base metals deposits, and there is unparalleled infrastructure here with the rail, the road, the power running right through our project. I should note that our project used to be owned by what is now Glencore. It used to be 4 underground mines. We've taken those million meters that were drilled by Glencore and reinterpreted it into an open pit deposit. It looks like this. You can see this is what 100 million tons pit constrained looks like. You can see we've obviously extracted what was mined. It was a very, very high grade mine back in its day. And just recently we made a brand new discovery. So this is 2 underground mines. You can see the Springer and the Perry. Those were shut down in the 90s. And in the middle is the area called the Saddle Zone, where there's really there's no mining, certainly, and very little known mineralization. But about a month ago, we put out, we had a new vision or interpretation of the orientation of the veins, because you can see they're sort of all over the place. It's been twisted and turned, and it's very complex geology. And so we thought, hey, we'll spin the drills around on the Saddle Zone and maybe we'll get lucky, and we did. We nearly 6% copper equivalent over 11 meters, and 2 other holes hit nice intersections. So we're going to go back there very shortly, and we're going to put out about a 20-meter drill program on the Saddle aimed at expanding the resource and really changing the mining plan for this, because the Saddle is sort of, I call it a barren zone. So then we're going to publish we're going to plug that into our internal scoping study and publish a PEA, which is the first step towards a road to a pre-feasibility, which again is our objective. We think we're about 2 years away from publishing a pre-feasibility after our PEA, so it is coming. Last but not least, of course, is our Ontario asset, Cherry. We just acquired it. It's got 250,000 meters. It has past production. It used to send its concentrate to the Horn smelter, just like the Opimiska did, so there's the synergies. It gives us scale. It gives us optionality. We're no longer a single asset company. And it gives us almost 5 billion pounds of copper and growing, and this asset again, I'll pass over the infrastructure, but it's excellent. But this asset is going to get much bigger. This is the underground component on the west side of the property. It's 26 million tons at about 1.6% copper. This is our open pit, which is about 4 kilometers to the west. It's 54 million tons at 0.4, but it's only been drilled to 150 meters until last year when we poked those holes into it. And you can see there's 171 meters, 230 meters, and very wide intersections of ore-grade copper that show that this deposit expands. So this asset in 2025, we expect to put an ambitious drill program on it and get a lot of good results and growth. So I think that the Opemiska represents a PEA defining it from an engineering and economic standpoint this year, whereas Cherry's about a year and a half behind it in terms of economics, but it's going to be drilling quite aggressively this year, so it represents growth. And then we throw it into the pre-feasibility tract. Wrapping up, my time is up. So this is what the company looks like here. We got about $7 million in cash, 250 million shares outstanding. Me and ORCAP are the largest shareholders, and we have a very bright future in 2025, and eventually the market's going to care about one of the largest copper owners in Eastern Canada. Thanks again, Robert.